right, let's go back out to Richmond, Virginia, and talk to Sarah with an H. What's up, Sarah?
Hey, how's it going?
Partying? What are you up to?
Just sitting at home with the cold.
That sounds awful. What's up?
Yeah, I just reached out because my husband and I have been married for about 7 years, and he just really struggles with a lot of anger and a lot of anxiety, and it just manifests itself into a lot of yelling and screaming, and we have 2 young kids. I'm pregnant with our third. And, then on top of that, if he gets mad enough at me, he'll break things. Like he'll break, gifts that I've given him, or he'll smash food or, things that I've bought for myself. Excuse me, or that type of thing. And it's just really hard for me to know how to handle it. And I guess that's my question is, how do I navigate this in a way that's healthy? Because, my first instinct when he smashes something that I took a lot of time to pick out for him, or that he even asked for himself, that I bought for a birthday present or something like that, my first reaction would be like, well, I'm never going to buy you anything ever again, but I don't want to be vindictive. I don't want to be bitter. So I'm just trying to figure out how I am supposed to respond in a way that's protecting myself and protecting my kids. Yeah.
Oh, man. Sarah, can I just cut to the chase and be super honest on some things? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I think it's honest. I want to be as honest as I can. This is one of those rare calls that it tightens my upper chest. As my wife would say, she could see across the room. I see your jaw starting to clench, and we need to go.
Yeah.
Because she knows I'm about to get myself into trouble. Okay. This is one of those moments, and so I want you to know that in the world you live in right now, you will be especially attuned to the sharpness in my voice, and I want you to know this is not directed at you, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? And I am also talking in circles a little bit to give myself a chance to breathe. Okay?
Okay.
The anger, your husband's anger is not the problem here.
Yeah.
Your husband is a freaking toddler.
Yeah.
And he acts like a child. And a child in a man's body can hurt somebody irreparably. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're focused on, well, then I'm just not going to make you gifts anymore. I'm focused on the women I've visited in hospitals before who have their faces knocked in.
Yeah.
Okay? Anxiety and anger don't manifest into smashing things. Toddlers do. Immature grown men do. It's not a result of what your husband's struggling with. It's a choice he is making in a moment.
Yeah.
Or it's a choice he is making to not deal with in the moments that he's not anxious and enraged. Okay? I do know of there is some psychological issues where people go, quote unquote, blind with rage. Fine. But then it's their job to deal with it upstream before they're blinded. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm speaking boldly about this because I was a guy that was so buried with anxiety I couldn't breathe. And my impulse was to smash things. And I didn't because I'm an adult. Not because I'm better than anybody, but because I'm a grown-up. And I went and sought professional help.
Yeah.
Right? Whew. So you're not going to like what I'm telling you to do next, okay? I just need you to know that I'm on your team.
Okay.
And I know there's a financial reality to this. I know there's just a reality to this. But if it's safe, he gets a final, powerful, written in stone with fire, boundary. If you yell in this house again, if you smash something again, if you scream in this house again, I'm leaving with our kids, or you're leaving, period.
Yeah.
If most of the time people call the show and they water down what's actually going on, they sanitize it a bit. It's hard to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And whatever, I just have a gut feeling that's what you're having to do right now, and I honor that, so I'm not going to push you on it. But if that conversation can't be had for safety reasons, then you go find a safe place to go for you and your 2 kids and your third one on the way.
Yeah.
And then you communicate that in writing or through an attorney. But when my daughter or my son was a toddler, you can't explain things to someone who's acting like a 6-year-old because they're 6.
Yeah.
And someone who's in an adult body and goes and grabs gifts and smashes them just to go, ha, ha, ha. That's somebody who is being led by their inner child.
Yeah.
All right. So I just said a lot of heavy stuff. What do you feel? Do you think I'm right? Am I crazy? You push back on me.
No, I think you're right. I've, thankfully, we're already seeing a marriage counselor. I have seen counselors myself. I've got, mentors and things like that I've kind of talked through this situation with, and everybody, pretty much agrees with that. Especially, some think that I should just go ahead and leave. Others think that, like what you said, if it's a conversation that I can have in a safe way, and I've pretty much already told him that, I've said, if this happens again, I'm leaving, and I'm taking the kids with me until you can prove that you are working on yourself and seeking the help that you need, because I've tried really long. And I think that's what's hard is like, we'll have, a good month or a good couple months or a good couple weeks or things like that. And then it just kind of like lulls you into like a false sense of security almost of like, and then just being so busy. Like I've got 2 small kids. I work full time, being pregnant. Like it's just, it's a lot to deal with,
No, it 100%.
Like a third child that you're having to like parent almost,
Listen, that's exactly what you're doing. You're parenting a third child, except this third child has humongous muscles.
Yeah.
And if a toddler hits you,
he was a police officer for many years. Like he's seen women who have gone through this,
mm-hmm.
He's seen, but he just like, I don't think that he believes, like he fully understands that like hitting me is wrong or hitting our kids is wrong. But I don't think because like this is the way that his family has dealt with conflict. He comes from a very toxic family, and not that excuses his behavior, because he could be different. But it's like, he just does not see why it's a problem to yell and scream, why it's a problem to like, as long as he's not hitting me, to like take his aggression out on like an inanimate object, And so sometimes he'll be sorry. And then other times he'll be like, oh, well, if you hadn't made me so upset, then I wouldn't have,
God,
you know what I mean?
Me off. That's a freaking coward.
Yeah.
Blaming you for his childish behavior. Because he always has a choice. Always. And you do too.
Yeah.
You do too. I think the challenge here is you are telling him you have to stop doing your thing because what you're doing is wrong. Yeah. And what he's telling you is, I don't think it is. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. The more effective way to go about it is this. You, being Sarah, say, I will not live in a house where the man in the home smashes things when he gets in a temper tantrum, period. If you want to be married to me, you will not smash things in this home. I won't be in a home where somebody yells at me or my children, period.
Yeah.
And if you want to disagree with me, your lawyer can talk to mine. So what you're doing is you're not saying you need to do these things because these things are wrong, because he's telling you I don't think they are. What you're saying is I won't be a part of that life.
Yeah.
Most people, when they get to where you are and they get right up to this boundary line that they're about to draw really firmly in the ground, have a couple of challenges. One is economic. It doesn't sound like that's where you are. You could get an apartment and y'all could be okay. Is that fair?
Yeah, I have family in the area
Awesome.
I could live with.
By the way, are your family telling you to get the hell out for a long time?
I mean, I haven't told them that he smashes stuff. You know, they know that I'm kind of his verbal punching bag because they've seen it in some cases. You know, they've told me, you know, if you ever need a break, like, you don't have to call, just come, like, we'll be here, you know. So they're very supportive.
That's them doing
whatever I need to do.
A pretty lukewarm job of trying to tell you, if you're ready to run, we got you.
Yeah.
Without trying to overstep their bounds. If you were related to me, I would way overstep my bounds, but I tend to do that all the time. Here's the other thing. Often, if economics are okay, there's a really powerful identity problem.
Yeah.
Those women can't make it work.
Yeah.
Those women, quote unquote, break up their family. Single moms are fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a very strained relationship with his family. His mom, for many years, has tried to break our marriage up. And she's just a very manipulative person. And so I've been told by her, you know, that we're never going to last. You're never going to make it. You're going to, you know, she's told my husband, like, you better watch what you say around her because she's going to take everything from you and, like, take your kids from you, because that's what her husband tried to do to her. You know, so I know that there is an element of pride there of, like, you know, I don't want to prove this horrible person right, you know, that I essentially, and I know this isn't true, but in my mind it's like
she doesn't
up,
get a vote.
You know?
She doesn't get a vote. I wouldn't let that woman speak one whisper into my mind or my heart.
Yeah.
Not as far. I mean, sheesh. What that becomes is this: a fear that others are going to judge you as harshly as you're judging yourself right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to walk into your own home pregnant with child number 3 from a day of full-time work, going home to a place where you can drop everything and laugh and be greeted by a former police officer who gets the hell that is women's lives these days and greets you with a hug and a cup of tea and some laughter.
Yeah.
Right? Or a funny dance or a joke, or at least picked up your underwear. Not you walk into your home and your body's preparing for war.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You deserve that. That baby that is just bathing in cortisol and adrenaline right now deserves that.
Yeah.
Everybody in that house, your 2 babies deserve that.
Yeah.
And I want you just to just be honest with yourself and look back and say, has anything I've done or said or threatened, has any of that worked? No.
Yeah.
So at some point, you got to try something new. And if you listen to the show for any length of time, I almost never tell somebody they got to get out. But if your friends are telling you and your family's offering, and I can tell in your voice you're not telling me everything.
It's a lot to tell.
It's a lot to, I know. I'm not blaming you. I wouldn't tell some weirdo on a podcast either. But I think you got to get with a friend or two, because also it's going to be very emotional. It's going to be heavy. And I'm not just saying emotional because you're a pregnant woman. I'm saying if I was doing this, I'd get emotional about it, okay? I would have to have a couple of people in my corner to say, am I making a right move? What's the what's a safe apartment close to schools? Or what's childcare going to look like? I want to have all those things lined up. Do I have a bank account with my own money in it?
Yeah.
Like, get some people that will think it through with you. And if you think you can have one last conversation that's safe, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I don't feel compelled to. Or it might be we can have a conversation after I have locked the gates because you're not
Right.
listening to my boundaries.
Yeah, and I think it just feels like he's almost like a different person. Like when this stuff happens, it's not. He's generally like a pretty pleasant person when he's in a good mood and things are going well. But it's just like he does not know how to handle life, just in general, like stress.
And that's his job. That's his
Like
job.
that.
You cannot
Yeah.
solve that for him.
Yeah.
That's his adventure.
Well, and it's like just what you said about, a toddler. He wouldn't let our toddler behave that way.
No. And by the way,
No.
anger's good. Anger points us to something that we care about. Anger is not a bad thing. It's what we do with it. And he chooses to abuse his wife with it. He chooses to create in little kids a nervous system that will never regulate until they get professional help. That's what he's choosing to do. That's on him. Those are choices he's making. So what you have to do is to stop wading into his choices. You've done that. You've done that for a long time. And you've probably put yourself in some pretty risky, dicey situations. Cool. What you have to do is to begin to solve for safety immediately. I'm going to solve for safety. Solve for safety, solve for safety. And tell him you called me. I'm happy to talk to him. Give him a path out of the madness that he's in. But I don't think this happens through more talking and more talking and more talking and more talking and more talking. I think safety, you have to solve for safety now. And I want you to ask yourself this. Has this been slowly and quietly escalating? Because I always look for trend lines in these situations. Does someone just have a bad day and smash something and they felt like a moron about it and they're so sorry and they go make it right? Or did it start with slamming hands on a table and then break a glass and then smash a thing and then purposely find something you made and break it too and then start screaming and cursing it? If you see this thing escalating, the data would tell me you're next. And I don't want you to be next. Reach out to some friends tonight and let's start making a plan. You're worth being safe and you're worth being well.